second you see her up on stage. Give it up for Nicole Stewart, everybody! I'm not sure how to live up to that one, but I'll take it. Yes, my name is Nicole Stewart, but I have a 15-year-old son, and so mostly I go by bruh. I like bruh. It's actually really good. It reminds me of dude from my generation. And some of yours too. Yeah, I hear you. See? Solidarity. Bruh is very versatile, right? You can be excited, it's like, bruh. Or disappointed, bruh. Or like you're greeting your buddy, bruh. But I mostly get it as exasperated. And it always comes via text, or most of the time it comes via text, and it looks like this. B-R-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-H. I hope I spelled that right. But if I get it in person, it looks like Does that look familiar to you guys? I mean, am I alone in this? I love being a mom, right? Being a mom is cool. Being a mom is peak. I just learned this one. So I asked my son the other day, I was like, how was that party that you went to? And he was like, it was peak. So I followed the context clues, and I now know that peak equals cool or awesome, or for some of you, the bee's knees. But my son is quite a character, right? We have a family text string, and he's renamed it Big Dogs. Because like at the dinner table, he'll be like, hey, Big Dog, can you pass the ketchup? He likes to use our prison names. It's pretty special. He also very often calls me an op, or that I'm opping so hard. Now this one, I gotta be honest, it threw me for a loop, because I don't know where we are, but it always made me think of Naughty by Nature, which is OPP, yeah, you know me. And for some of you, OPP stood for other people's I actually think it's pussy, but I could be wrong. Have I had it wrong? And now I would have been better with that than what with my son. So I had to have a conversation with him to be like, here's what you can and cannot say to your mother. And then I was like, no way. There's no way he said that, or that he's saying that to me. So I'm gonna go to Google. So I went to the Googles, and I found out that op means opposition, or like a rival gang. And somehow this was better than what I thought it was originally. But I am pretty sure somebody needs to tell him he's from the northern suburbs of Chicago and not, I don't know, O-Block. So who am I kidding? You guys have probably seen him before because he had that cameo on Nextdoor. You know the Nextdoor post? You know Nextdoor where like people post things that they have no context or understanding of, right? He was in one of those. Real proud. But at least he's out meeting the community, right? I mean, we're new to we're new-ish to Glenview. We moved to Glenview from Skokie in October of 2020, deep in the pandemic. And there is really nothing better than moving your middle schooler from one Zoom classroom to another, is there? Because, middle schoolers are really known for all their giving and opening up to new people and accepting people. And then we're going to put them in like the boxes, like the Brady Bunch met their family. We're like, hey, oh, nice to meet you. Cool, right? So anyway, it was very, very awkward. But he did make efforts. To help us meet new people. So for instance, I was on a first name basis with the middle school principal. Can you say that? I don't think so. It's Diana. And then I don't want to brag, but I have also traded many phone calls with Officer Bell. He's making lots of efforts to help us out, and I just gotta give it to him, here's the thing, I do have a 12-year-old daughter as well. And they're just so different, daughter, that's the thing. They're so different, and she's very independent and resourceful. Like tonight, she's probably making him dinner right now. But she's very much of a rule follower, right? But she's a preteen, so it just throws everything, and it gets very dicey in my house on a regular basis with emotions, right? So I might walk into her room at any given time and be like, hey, could you clean up your room? And she's like, oh yeah, Mom, great. And I'm like, sweet, okay. I am killing it as a mom right now. And then I'll go in the next day, because you gotta ask them every day. And I'll say, hey, do you think you could clean up? And I have to stop, because the lasers come out of her mouth. Come out of her eyes. And she's like, I know, I'm the worst. I probably can't go out if I don't get it cleaned up in time. And I'm like, yes. Well, you did. She's like self-parenting, you guys. It's amazing. I don't have to do much. She's also very emotionally aware, which is nice, except that I might say something like, do you could chill on the attitude for a minute? She's like, I'm angry, and I'm allowed to be angry. I'm like, well, I was never allowed to be angry, so I'm not sure why you get to be angry. That's probably the most you'll hear about her, really, because she scares us just a little bit. But she does join in on the lingo, I will tell you that. And they love it when I call it lingo, as you can imagine. Just the fact that I'm up here, to be honest, in front of a microphone, she's like, it's the big ick, or so cringy. It's not a compliment. I looked it up. And I might, I try to expand their palate a little bit. I make different meals other than pasta and pizza once in a while, imagine. And I'll make it and I'll be like, so what'd you guys think of that? They're like, it was mid. Mid isn't great, but it's not trash, so thanks. And I also have been told that I have no Riz. You guys should all know. Charisma is like it's charisma. Riz is for charisma, right? And I have no Riz, but I sometimes like to get back at them and try to have a good comeback. And I'm like, oh yeah? Well, I'm gonna go Riz them up on stage tonight. And my daughter was like, never say that again. I just threw up in my mouth. And I'm like, sweet, awesome. I do every once in a while like to throw in something like to my son. It was just the other day. He texts me. That's really how we communicate. Even we're in the house, he texts me. But he needed some money, shocking. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, right? I go, the cabbage is in your account. He was like, cabbage? I was like, oh, how the tables have turned, my friend. Cabbage means money. And he was like, I never thought that you would teach me something like that. I was like, I think that's a really big insult. I'm just convinced that they are not here to build me up whatsoever. That has become very clear. I'm like constantly heckled by the two of them. Imagine if I had more. Oh God, but I kind of think of myself as like an NPC. Do you guys know what an NPC is? It's a non-playable character. That's literally what it's called. It's a non-playable character in a video game. I feel like I should explain it to you guys. In a video game. And it's like, it's so that you can be playing your game, and then there's characters in the back that are just walking back and forth, but then they hit a wall, and then they just hit it over and over and over again. And I think the definition is like, no storyline and no purpose. Does anything say more than mom to these kids than that, really? Yeah. But I have to keep on top of all of this because I am an older parent. I didn't know that I was an older parent until I went, I got pregnant and I went to the doctor and they were like, oh, you're of advanced maternal age. We'll have to take precautions. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I came back 3 years later, and they were like, well, now you're just a geriatric pregnancy. I was 39. And then, I don't know if you guys know, but Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are new dads. They've got infants. And I understand that their wives are a half or quarter of my age. I understand that. But they're in their 80s with an infant. Men, I think this is an example of just because you can doesn't mean you should. But yeah, it's cool being an older parent. It was a little bit funny because, I've got friends whose kids are actually like graduating from college, and I'm just 12 and 15. I'm like still in the thick of it. And so I did realize there's a great range of parents' ages, and I saw this very clearly, and I'll never forget it. I went into the kindergarten curriculum night or something, and I walked in, and it was like school, and I was excited, and I see all these parents over here, and they look kind of like in their 40 plus. And then I look over here, and there's a whole group of them, and they're like 30 plus. You can kind of tell, And then there's a few that are in their 20s, and they're just like judging. And so I went to my appropriate area, and I looked around, and I was like, I looked next to me, and I was like, hey, I made a friend, right? I'm like, so what's happening here? Are we gonna rumble? And she goes, no, I don't know, but now you know you're on the right side of the room because you used the word rumble. Well, I'm just saying, if she could see me today, I think she'd be impressed, right? I'm like this big dog, making mid-meals like an NPC. Just embracing my op status and rocking my new name, bruh. Thank you so much, everyone.